Welcome, Middlers, to the Medium in the Middle podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I take you on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual exploration. I am a Reiki master teacher, a spiritual and business mentor, and of course, a psychic medium. And I am here to share my story and help you tap into your extraordinary abilities. Join me every Wednesday as we dive into the realms of intuition, energy healing, and all things mystical. Whether you're a seasoned spiritual seeker or just dipping your toes into the magical waters, this podcast is your go-to source for inspiration, guidance, and a whole lot of lessons and laughter along the way. Let's get started. Hello, Middlers. Welcome to episode 221. My name is Stephanie. I am the medium in the middle, and I'm sorry to leave you hanging on last weekend's podcast episode. I had every intention of putting out a podcast episode before I went to Florida to teach Reiki Masters, but it was about 7 p.m. on Tuesday night when I had to leave at 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning, when I had to give up the dream of recording, editing, and releasing a podcast episode that night, while also packing, cleaning up, emptying my fridge, and dropping off my dog. So I thought I could do it, but I had a photo shoot on the Monday before that I was trying to squeeze in. I'm just maximizing the days here, so something had to give, and unfortunately it was the podcast episode. So I'm sorry that there was no episode and also no announcement about that. I just posted something quickly on Instagram being like, sorry, but I'm back. I have the update from episode 220 in this episode, so if you haven't already listened to episode 220, don't do mediumship readings in a parking lot. Pause this episode, go back and re-listen to that episode, because this update will not make sense unless you listened to that one. But, oh, the synchronicities. So it's going to be a short episode today because I just had another episode planned, but then this update came about and I was like, oh my God, I have to share this on the pod. And then we'll be back next week. I don't know if I'm going to tell the story about my dad, or I have some stuff that happened in Florida, or I have some other podcast ideas, lots of things coming down the pipeline. So we will start this week with a card pull. I went on Instagram and had you guys vote again. I do this every Tuesday. I go live and you get to select what card deck I use. As a reminder, at Medium in the Middle is my only account. I will never DM you. I will never ask you for money. Beware of scammers. But you all selected by a landslide this week the Rebecca Campbell Work Your Light deck. So 2 cards were pulled. The first card was Answer the Call. What is your soul calling you to do? Your guidance is divinely guided. You're being called to answer the call of your soul. It might be scary, it might not make sense, but if you trust your soul's yearnings, you will live a life beyond what your mind could possibly imagine. Answering your soul's calling is not a one-time thing, rather a lifelong dance. Deep down, you already know what you long for, what your soul yearns for. Whatever you are called to do, that is your calling. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for permission. Just say yes. Most people are waiting for a step-by-step plan before they take the first step. Oh my God, that's so true. But intuition doesn't work like that. It takes faith and courage to answer the calls of your soul, and that's why most people don't do it. But you are not most people. You are in exactly the right place to answer your calling now. You don't need to know the whole plan. You don't even need to know where it's leading. You just need to take the next step. No one has ever had the complete perfect plan. There's no end destination. There is no right or wrong way to do it, and you do not need permission from anyone else. Sometimes the more resistance we have around answering a soul calling, the more important it is to our soul's growth. Oof, that permission slip is so true. I see it all the time. People just want a permission slip. And the second card that was pulled, and I've never pulled this card before, and I don't know how to say it properly. It's Pleiades. Pleiades? Pleiades? I don't know, but I'll read it to you. Double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. The Pleiadians are a group of star beings dedicated to raising the vibration of the planet and sharing new consciousness through creations and technology. They have been incarnating on Earth since the near beginning of humanity. You are a soul who has a double mission, to grow at a soul level and to raise the vibration of the planet. You have been called to write, speak, or channel. This is your sign to keep doing it. Your work is divinely guided. Of all of the souls, Pleiadians are the chattiest, so perhaps you have already started channeling some of this work into the third dimension. Thank you for doing your part in the great plan. Your presence and unique light is needed. Okay, so Pleiades and Answer the Call are the two cards for this week. So just quickly, I have a few announcements. I have a level 1 coming up June 22nd and 23rd this weekend. It has 1 spot left. So if you are thinking that might be for you, and there will be another course coming at the end of July as well. I also have a mediumship practice circle happening on June 22nd in the morning. So if you are a beginning medium, if you want to test your mediumship skills, if you don't know who to practice on, if you want to jump right in, this is a great opportunity. You give and receive a 20-minute reading. So not only do you get to try to read a stranger, but you also get to see how other new mediums try to read you. So you learn a lot by also receiving. And then we talk about it. I set you up with some instruction before we begin. I answer your questions at the end. It's a really amazing hour and a half that we are together. So there's still a few spots left for that. And then there is a Reiki level 2 coming up July 13th and 14th. So if you have been waiting for level 2, the next level 2 is July 13th and 14th. As always, I will leave all the links you need down below in the show notes. So in episode 220, Don't Do Mediumship Readings in a Parking Lot, I told you about a situation where I was at my cousin's baby shower and I was in the car, and then before I was leaving, I got pulled out of the car to talk to some of her husband's cousins, and everything that was coming through was gibberish and nothing was really making sense, and they weren't saying yes and they weren't saying no, and there was kind of a big like, what the hell was that? And then I was like, well, Steph, what did you think? Like, Spirit wasn't going to just turn on when you're standing in a parking lot. The key was in the ignition, yada, yada, yada. All of the reasons why I knew it wouldn't have worked. But then, I pressed release on that episode, and quite literally 10 minutes later, my cousin texted me, and she said this: "Hey, cuz, so you remember when you were talking to the people and you were talking about the names and the number 5 and 25 and all the things? So everything is adding up to them, and I ended up telling her about your podcast and for her to reach out to you. And I ended up calling her and I was laughing and I was like, what do you mean? And then I was like, I literally just released a podcast episode about how everything was gibberish. Nothing made sense. I was just like, am I broken? What's going on? And she was like, yeah. So what had happened was, I told you there was 3 ladies that walked up to me. So I guess the one lady really wanted to talk to her uncle. The one lady was just a spectator. And then the other one, I don't think she really believed in this stuff. So the one lady really wanted to talk to her uncle, but the other lady's brother kept trying to come through. And that's when I was like, the red car. So her other brother has the red car. They finally figured it out. But it turns out that the lady with the brother trying to come through didn't want to say anything because she knew that her aunt, I think it was, I don't even know how everyone was related. But anyways, the other lady, she knew she really wanted to talk to her uncle. So she was like, all of the stuff was making sense for her, but she didn't want to say anything because they were trying to get the uncle to come through. So even when I was like trying to talk to her and give her this information, like the one girl was like looking away. She kind of seemed scared. Like she kind of seemed, she wasn't saying yes or no or anything. And I was like, okay, like I'm not pushing this. I don't want to make you uncomfortable or anything like that. So I was like, okay, guys, like everything is gibberish. Like, see you later. And then they were like, yeah, they were too afraid to tell you that everything you were saying was right. Like, they were kind of freaked out. And then the one girl didn't want to take away the spotlight from the other girl because she knew that she really wanted to talk to her uncle. But like, now they want to talk to you because now they want more information, because everything you said is now making sense. Just like you said this was going to make sense. You said the numbers would make sense later. You said the red car would all come into play. And now they want to know, what did the brother want? And I was laughing on the phone. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, now they say that everything is right. And I was like, honestly, that ship has sailed. I think it all happened for a reason. Like, I wasn't about to do a reading in a parking lot anyways. I'm not now gonna do a reading in the DMs and like have these people message me. Like, if they want a mediumship reading, go book a medium. Don't do mediumship readings. I'm like, I have referrals, but like, how funny that 10 minutes after I press release on this episode, telling you guys that everything I said was gibberish, nothing was making sense. Sometimes that happens in mediumship. You know, a few days after that thing happened, I think the shower was on Sunday. I flew home on Monday. I recorded on Tuesday. I released on Wednesday. And Wednesday is when they finally got back to me. So, 4 days later is when they were like, they all talked to each other and everything was right and everything now makes sense. And now they're like, oh my gosh, how would you know that? And, they're blown away that everything is making sense, but they were just too scared to tell you at the time. So sometimes this happens, and, I did feel silly for a little bit, but also I know how spirit works. So just for it to loop back around and to get that confirmation is also really amazing. So I wanted to share this with you, especially that red car thing. I was really pushing it. And she was like, no one has a red car. No. And it turns out the brother has the red car that the brother was trying to talk about. So yeah, just funny how spirit works. So I wanted to share that with you because this stuff still happens to me. So if you are a new or developing medium and you are having this happen to you, just remember it's hard to be a sitter. You don't know how they feel. They might be afraid. They might want to speak to a certain someone, so they are not confirming information when someone else wants to come through. They might not know how to answer. There's so many things going on in the sitter's brain as well. They're anxious, they're nervous, you're anxious, you're nervous. So don't worry and don't get discouraged if things don't make sense. They almost always make sense after the fact. So I had to come back and do a full circle moment on this episode to share with you that update. Literally 10 minutes after I pressed release on that episode, I couldn't believe it. I was laughing on the phone. So I had to share that with you. I hope that gives you a little bit more hope and confidence. Spirit always knows what's up. And even if you really want to talk to someone, it's who has, the most important message will come through. And her brother really wanted to come through. Another thing was that her mom was there. And I was thinking that if her mom, who was her brother, was in that little circle, like maybe the uncle would have come through. Like, there's so many factors. Again, we were standing in a parking lot. My key was in the car ignition. I got pulled out of the car for this last minute, hey, did you feel anything on me type of thing. So I really didn't expect anything to work or to come through. And I am happy that it was later confirmed, but it still just gives me a chuckle. So that's what I have for you this week. Just a short little update on episode 220. I had to share that with you guys because I was laughing. I will be back next week with a new episode. We are back to regular scheduled programming. Every Wednesday, I release new episodes. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a 5-star rating wherever you are listening. All the links you need will be down below in the show notes if you are looking for a Reiki training or if you want to join the Mediumship practice circle. As a reminder, I do teach Reiki Level 1 and Reiki Level 2 monthly. They are very popular courses, so just know that the date when they work for you, that will mean it is your time, but if the dates don't work, don't stress. But until next Wednesday, Middlers, when I see you in your ears, I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye, everybody.